Well, like Andy said, my favourite film is Gattaca, 1970 film with Uma Thurman, Ethan Hawke and Jude Law. And the reason I love this film is because of one line where they say there's no gene for the human spirit. It's basically about Ethan Hawke trying to get to space, basically, but he's genetically disadvantaged. The second film is Moon, which is Sam Rockwell, and I think it's the best example of a low-budget film that is fantastic because of its story, and it's about in the future where the world relies on minerals from the moon, and they've sent Sam Rockwell there as an operative to mine minerals on the moon by himself. And it's a bit of a suspense type movie. And my third film is The Prestige, because of a great cast and brilliant story. So it's got Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, David Bowie, Scarlett Johansson, and the story's brilliant, so I wouldn't ruin it on film. But 3 movies.
Okay. Number 1, The Day of the Jackal. Because that's a very exciting thriller, basically. I defy anyone not to enjoy The Day of the Jackal, the original. Number 2, Gattaca. I thought it was a very intelligent story, set in the future, but a story that I think everybody can relate to. Number 3, Office Space. Sort of comedy, sort of satirical comedy, based on people who work in high-tech companies. I worked in a high-tech company, so I could see all of these people. It's a bit like David Brent and The Office. So again, a very enjoyable. Thanks.
We'll go for the most recent release. We'll go for 12 Years a Slave. Although it's sort of fictitious piece, it is based on a true story. I think it's quite an honest view into what happened. It's quite interesting that they had to get a British director to sort of tackle head on the issues which America faced over there, and of course, you know, what Britain was involved with as well. It shows sort of how, well, the narrative of it shows how they were kidnapped and taken down to the south, forced to do for 12 years, and then finally he was rescued. But the sort of emotional, physical journey he went through, as well as the family he was taken from as well. I just like how it was an honest, I want to say an honest insight into what goes off, but I find it quite interesting that, like I say, the British director had to do it, as opposed to the sort of American director they've been searching for to try and face his history, if you see what I mean. The second one, we'll go for the time between Schindler's List and Inglourious Basterds. I think Schindler's List, although it's more quite honest, and some of the sort of visuals are interesting in terms of the symbols and whatever. I think Inglourious Basterds is a little bit of a different take with Tarantino's directive style. It gives different points of views into, although it's fictitious again, it's a made-up story based on the Second World War, and it gives different people's perspective, Jewish, black, Nazi, British, as well as to the whole event. So you can sort of pick up an array of different opinions and build it together, perhaps make your own of what happened. Third, we'll go for something a little bit abstract. It's not cinematography, it's a theatre piece by a practitioner called Stephen Burkhoff. He's a physical theatre practitioner. It has been filmed, it is accessible, you can check it out on YouTube and all of that, and other sort of online places, but it's a piece where Burkhoff, he wanted to portray East End London, I think it was in the 80s, and because it's a physical theatre piece, everything's really over the top, exaggerated, through every sort of possible outlet of human emotion and activity, whether that's actions, voices, soundscapes, there's even dance routines in there. But it's very interesting it's just a way for a guy to portray the issues which East End London went through, the stereotypes. He worked very well with stereotypes, but not in a negative way, in a way to sort of portray and make it a little bit more explicit about how those people are perceived by the other public, but also how they actually live their lives back then.